the Borough Munhall Council meeting. Sorry for the delay, we're about 34 minutes late. We had an executive session where we're discussing legal matters and executive sessions.
Why do you have a open meeting when you have a meeting?
And personnel contracts too. I'm going to have the Girl Scouts from Troop 5841 from St. Teresa's, Addison Fandre and Katie Campbell lead us in the pledge. Girls, if you can lead us in the pledge. The flag's up in the back.
Yeah.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good job. Okay, our roll call.
Councilman Brennan?
Here.
Councilman Inlet?
Here.
Councilman Stein?
Here.
Councilman Tishon?
Here.
Councilman Barhola?
Here.
Councilman Bodadian?
Here.
President Faulk?
Here. All present. Notice to all public speakers addressing council, note that the comment is limited to 3 minutes and must avoid references to personality and personnel-related issues. Our first person on the agenda tonight is Sandra Wolf, Homestead Secretary. Sandra, if you could step up to the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry, Sandra. I'm just going to ask you to pause for 5 minutes. The fire chief asked me one of the floor.
Yes, sir.
I apologize, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, they want to take the only way they can go.
Thank you for giving me the floor, Council and President. For letting me tell you about the volunteer fire department for a second. Volunteering for the community in any amount is a noble task, and being a volunteer fireman and doing what we do requires a great deal of dedication and a lot of time out of your personal life. The amount of training and the fire calls that never come when you're ready for them, 3 o'clock in the morning when you have to go to work the next day, and every so often one of us goes above and beyond the call of duty. We used to come here and do a firefighter of the year program, and it's kind of went the wayside a little bit. And we definitely have somebody that we want to recognize tonight for their dedication and service to the community. If you guys want to come in here, let everybody come in here, please. So this is just a little show of support for this, and I appreciate you hanging out with me for that. So we have a member that has been serving the community for a long time. This person joined the fire department in 1961 and has remained an active firefighter in Munhall for 55 years. In 1962, he took on his first officer's position in that company and has held an officer's position in the fire department in one manner or another for the last 55 years. That person has served the community in many different ways, but he still gets on the truck today and answers fire calls. He's a driver. He's a member of Munhall No. 1. He has served this community in every capacity in the fire department and as borough fire chief, which is my position now. When I joined the company in the department in 1984, he was the borough deputy fire chief, and I've learned a great deal off of him over the years, and he's been a mentor to me. I'm proud to call him one of my best friends, and also I'm proud to call him my father-in-law. And at this time, we would like to honor Richard Bodadian for his additional contribution. That we'd like to make to Rich. We have plenty of firemen that served and have served for many years, 50 years or longer. We've never had anybody that's been healthy enough, fortunately, and interested enough and active for 55 years. That's unheard of. And hopefully he maintains for quite some years. PJ, where you at? So we want to give you something, Rich, for this amazing amount of time that he's given to this community. And so we got a little something for you, plaque. This is from the Bureau of Fire, all the members of the Bureau of Fire. We want to present you with this 55 years. And so, yeah. Oh, sorry. And, Brian, where are you at, Deputy Chief? Come on over. So, now, we have two more parts of this, if you'll just bear with me for a second. One is that I would like to introduce P.J. Ostrowski. He's the Battalion Chief of number 1. PJ has a proclamation he's going to read. If you guys don't mind, he's going to read the proclamation from, that we've received several. We're not going to read them all.
Yeah, I guess you got two, one from the House and one from the Senate. The one from the Senate reads, whereas Richard J. Bodadian, being honored by Munhall Volunteer Fire Company number 1 for 55 years of dedicated and distinguished service as a firefighter, and whereas the well-being of the citizens of the Commonwealth is, I'm nervous here, safeguarded by the men and women of their fire units throughout the state of Pennsylvania. They serve around the clock every day of the year with unwavering commitment and dedication, and are routinely called upon to perform extraordinary acts which are often taken for granted despite the risks that are regularly attended to the discharge of their duties. And whereas Richard J. Bodadian, a United States Army veteran, joined Munhall Volunteer Fire Company number 1 in March 1961, where he served as chief of the department from 1976 to 79 and from 1992 to 2001. He has served as president of the fire company since 2014 and safety officer since 2002. In addition, Mr. Bodadian was elected as Munhall Bureau Fire Chief from 1985 to 1991 and Deputy Chief from 1983 to 1985. Whereas throughout his tenure of service with Munhall Volunteer Fire Company number 1, Mr. Bodadian has faithfully endeavored to preserve and protect the health and safety and welfare of his fellow citizens. He has earned the respect and gratitude of all of those who have received the benefit of his tireless devotion to duty. Now therefore, the Senate of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania congratulates Richard Bodadian upon his richly deserved recognition and pays tribute to his commitment and dedication to the welfare of his fellow citizens, offers best wishes and success for all future endeavors.
One final thing too, if I may, the mayor, I know that Mayor Bonner would like to say something as well, so if you would just bear with us a little more. By the way, yeah, no idea this was coming tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your participation in today's event.
Well, you know, I knew Rich when he didn't know the difference between Vaseline and putty, and you know what happened? Always with this fella. Rich, I've been looking at you for a lot of years up here, and looking at all these guys too. You can't, folks, you cannot get any quality people any better than our firemen and our police in Munhall Borough. I'm very proud. And Rich, for all that time that you put in, and I've had to put up with you, I do have a proclamation, and it's just something that you deserve. You're one of the few people in this entire state that has put their heart and soul into fire protection and protection of the public. And I'll tell you right now, I love you guys, I appreciate you, what you do. You put the time in, and you're not patted on the back enough. And I give you all the credit in the world for all the time. And I have a proclamation here, a commendation from the Borough of Munhall that says, whereas the mayor, officials, and citizens of the Borough of Munhall recognize council member Richard J. Bodadian for his loyalty, actively serving 55 years as a firefighter for the Borough of Munhall beginning in March of 1961. Whereas the mayor and officials of the Borough of Munhall proudly cite Richard J. Bodadian for his 13 years of service as Fire Company number 1 Chief through 1976 through 1979 and 1992 through 2001. Whereas the mayor and officials of the Borough of Munhall commend Richard J. Vodadian for faithfully serving as #1 company president since 2014 and safety officer since 2002. And whereas the mayor and officials of the Borough of Munhall recognize Richard J. Vodadian was elected to serve as chief of the Munhall Bureau of Fire from 1985 to 1991, and deputy chief from 1983 to 1985, and whereas the mayor and the officials of the Borough of Munhall commend Richard Vodadian for his involvement and loyal dedication to the safety of all of our citizens of the Borough of Munhall for over 44 years. Now let it be resolved by the mayor and the council of the Borough of Munhall that March 17th, which is tomorrow, shall be called Richard J. Vodadian Day in Munhall, and that a copy of this commendation be presented to him at the official meeting of Munhall Borough Council on March 16th, 2016. And it's signed, and Richard, I commend you, congratulate you, that's yours, you deserve it, and I'm so happy. Congratulations.
What's the amazing thing about Rich, after, 55 years of service, most people aren't out there fighting fires anymore. They're on just the inactive roster, they're just like a social member. And they don't fight them, but that's rare for.
Just hope I can go for another 50.
Thank you, everybody, for allowing us this evening. I know that we have a long agenda ahead, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
It's her dad. It's her It's all over, right?
Renee told me too, but don't worry about it. And Diana
Always got everybody's stuff
Hi, Josh. Back to work. Don't ask me how it is.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you. Please come, Mama, Is this stuff on?
Okay, we're gonna restart the meeting back up where we left off. Thank you, Mrs. Wolf.
Oh, this one. Ah, but I can put it in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to come out and represent the volunteers who are caring for the Homestead Cemetery. I would like to tell you some things that we know. First of all, according to Munhall Borough Manager, Mr. Robert Callum, there is close to $10,000 in the fund that was set up to help to take care of the Homestead Cemetery. It was set up on Monday, July 20th, 2015. We found out that $7,000 of that was donated by her. According to former President of Council Dan Lloyd, in a report published in the Valley Mirror January 7th, Mr. Lloyd talked about issues involving his term in office. And at the end of the report, he states, but finally, without a tax increase, we left the borough over $800,000 in surplus, which he felt should be used to start a paving program. Last week I had an opportunity again to speak with Mr. Callum, and he told me in a conversation that he felt it was not fair to assume the volunteers can continue with the upkeep of the cemetery. However, December 31st, 2015, Mr. Callum stated that until a responsible entity is designated, the borough will have to continue relying on volunteers to care for the burial site. February 17th, 2016, at a borough council meeting, there was a motion to purchase a backhoe not to exceed $94,000 and a motion to purchase a riding tractor not to exceed $18,000. Bankruptcy case closed November 23rd on the cemetery. January 2015, I spoke with attorney Robert Shear, who was the former trustee assigned to the cemetery, who told me his responsibility was to see if there were any assets available that could be sold. He told me at the time that I spoke with him, which was in January of this year, that there were none of any sufficient value. There is no one currently overseeing the cemetery, and it is considered to be abandoned. According to the PACER report, Mr. Shear requested on October 21st, 2016, that he be discharged from any further duties as the trustee. So those are some of the things that we know. It looks like there is some money coming in. It looks like there is some money going out for different things. But unfortunately, nothing is being done with the cemetery. And respectfully, I say that with emphasis, respectfully, we are here tonight to say to you that we cannot wait anymore. We can't wait for promises. I've talked with several of you, and unfortunately, this one points the finger at that one, and that one points the finger at this one, and there's a lot of, well, he should have done, they should have done. Bottom line is it's not being done, okay? Mr. Brandon Potts, he oversees a Facebook account. to spread information about the Homestead Cemetery. He has people from all over the country, even in different parts of the world, contacting us, thanking us for the work that we have done to keep the cemetery clean and maintained. And we've done all this using our own backyard lawnmowers, weed whackers, buying gas out of pocket, people stopping off, giving us gas cans, okay? But this can't continue. I had an opportunity to speak with Mayor Bodner, who I have the utmost respect for, okay? I know what the Memorial Day service means to him at the cemetery. Go there now. Go there now. Look at the flags that are thrown all over the ground. Sir, I congratulate you. I really thought that was a beautiful ceremony. But go look at the firemen. Go look at the policemen. Go look at the veterans whose graves are overgrown with weeds and brush and filth and garbage, and there is no plan to do anything. And if there is, that's news to all of us tonight. So I come here and I say to you, what is going to be done about Homestead Cemetery? Thank you.
At this point, Mrs. Wolfman, I guess you were aware because you did make phone calls too. It hasn't been turned to the borough's hands yet, which is unfortunate. You know, once it is, we can move
Sir,
on.
they tell me that the borough has to assume responsibility. They have to take responsibility. They either do or they don't, the attorney. Right now, the cemetery is considered to have been abandoned. Okay, part of the issue is, from day one, we've been told they didn't want us to go in because of liability issues. Well, if no one owns it, who are they going to sue if they fall over a headstone? Okay, so possibly put some signs up, enter at your own risk, you know, liability, whatever. But we need help. We can't continue to do this. And I hear the same thing over and over and over again. You know, well, we can't take this, or it's not, it's up to you to assume responsibility. Nobody is going to hand it to you. Nobody is going to come to you and say, okay, you've got to do this now. May I ask you a question, sir? Are you familiar with Act 144, Burial Grounds Municipal Control Act of May 10th, 1923?
I think I am, and I think our solicitors briefed us on that.
Okay.
That was where they, you know, are you familiar with that, Greg? Is that the one that you've told us about?
Probably, I don't know if I know.
Can I present it to you?
Yeah, sure, I've probably seen it, but I'd be happy to look at it.
But where did the funding go that was given to the cemetery?
We have $9,500 in funding.
Let me make a couple comments, because everything you said, what I agree with completely. Your research and investigation in the matter is consistent with what I learned. I investigated this on behalf of councils I was directed to do. The Homestead Cemetery Association still owns the cemetery. Even though the board members all resigned, I've been told, and abandoned it, as correctly as you have stated, they still own the property. This borough doesn't own the property. We don't have the authority to go on there and take care of the property. Although, like sometimes with abandoned properties, council in their judgment will try to help out an eyesore condition, things of that nature, but we're not in the business of owning and operating a cemetery. My job as a lawyer, I look at the borough code and says, here's all the things a borough can do, and it outlines them. Borough can do A, B, C, D, and it goes on. There are probably 75 things in the borough code. Owning and operating a cemetery is not in there. That's not why boroughs, municipal governments were created. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that we don't own it. We don't have the right to go in there and operate that. It's still owned by that cemetery association. The best solution would be is if some board members reactivated and ran that cemetery association again. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but that would be the best solution.
The cemetery board is defunct and the property is abandoned.
Well, it's abandoned just because they walked away. It's still owned by the association. They have legal title to that cemetery, and that has not changed. They would have to transfer that by deed.
So what can Munhall Borough do to help that process along?
We don't own it, we're not the association.
I understand you don't own it, I understand, sir, you don't own it, but it's in Munhall, okay?
I know it's-
And like I said, you know, you've got all these policemen, veterans, firemen. I'm sure you all have family up there. Don't you want to see this taken care of? Because honestly, we feel like as long as we don't say anything, it's just going to guide along. Other than Mr. Brennan, okay, he was the only person one day who ever set foot in that cemetery to help us pick up a trash bag, okay? And we're telling you, I'm pleading with you. We cannot do this with our little backyard equipment that we have. Mayor Bodner, sir, with all due respect, what is your plan to get the cemetery ready for Memorial Day?
Well, I'm going ahead like as if we do it every year.
You gonna cut grass?
I'm going to try and get the grass cut through whatever means it takes.
But what does that mean, Mayor Bodner?
Volunteer, whether it means, you know, using whoever. And we have some people, I was hoping a guy by the name of Joe McKay would be here tonight. Is Joe McKay here?
No, I'm familiar with Mr. McCain.
Okay, you familiar with him?
Yes, sir.
Well, he was supposed to attend the meeting, and, you know, Sandy, I got a lot to say about this, as you well know.
Yes, sir, I do. But how can you ask the people that you're talking about to go in there when, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, the borough solicitor is saying, you don't own the property, you know, there's an issue of liability. How does that work, that certain people can go in there, but certain people can't go in there? I'm not sure, I'm not clear on that.
Anybody can go in there, but they're trespassing is what it
But no one's gonna complain, because the board has walked away. So who could complain about you trespassing? The people on that board, and they've quit. So there's no one that's going to complain.
So how long are you prepared to let this go on in limbo like
How do you
this?
say, let this go on? It's not a problem that we created.
I know it's
understand
not.
the
I
frustration.
understand it's
And
not a
people-
problem you
everyone on
created,
council's concerned too.
but is it possible that you can be part of the solution, the board? Is that a possibility?
It depends what part. I mean, my job is to talk about what legally we can do. That's what my role is up here, and you understand that.
I understand
We can
that.
do what we can't do, what the laws are, to make sure that this council makes decisions that are in compliance with the law. That's what my job is, so I'm here to help them. So could we be part of it? Perhaps, but I don't know. The part that you're suggesting is we just take it over and run it.
Well, when can you give us a time frame? Can you say volunteers, by May 1st, I'm gonna try to get some more information for you?
What type of information?
What needs to be done in order for that to come out of the board's hands, or what?
The best solution I can think of is just my personal opinion. You have people here who are so interested in this cemetery, you should become the board member and run the cemetery.
Absolutely.
That would be the best solution. You have a great interest in this. And
Who are the members?
It's
But
honorable.
then the
Listen,
funding
but
was
sir,
given to
with
them.
all due, listen, please, with all due respect, listen to what you just said. If you're so interested, you're all not interested? You don't have family up there? Why are you putting this back on us?
I think we're all-
We're average Joes that go to work every day, okay? I don't know anything about this stuff. I went on Google trying to find out something. I'm tired of the runaround. I'm tired of not getting an answer. What's the 10,000, excuse me, 9,500, whatever, okay, what is that gonna be used for? I mean, what? Give us something, sir. Give us something. Okay, you got a $5 million ballpark over here. You know what? I say God bless. I believe I was born and raised on 7th Avenue. I now live on 21st, okay? Whatever can be done to help the children of the community, God bless, okay? But those people traveling to and from, they're going to go past that raggedy cemetery. And I hope some of them open their eyes and look to see what it looks like. Mayor Bodner, I hope you do find people to maintain that and get it ready for Memorial Day. I know that's your crowning jewel. I know how much that means to you. But I'm just not feeling, I'm not getting any hope here tonight. And that's all we want is some hope.
What makes you think that we haven't even discussed this or talked about that money?
Because everybody that I talk to on Borough Council keeps telling me the same thing. We don't know. I told him, he's denying this. I sent a
We
letter.
don't go by that we don't discuss the cemetery.
Sir?
There's not a meeting we don't go by that we
Well,
don't discuss the
how come
cemetery.
Mr. Callum and Mayor Bodnar couldn't tell me that? How come they don't know that?
Because we don't have a plan to cut the grass right now, because the grass.
You haven't had a plan since last summer to cut the grass.
I wasn't here last summer.
I was. These people were. We were up there every Saturday for 8 hours during the week, cutting, weeding, picking up garbage, doing everything. Not a bottle of water, not a thank you, nothing. All I'm asking you, sir, please forgive me, that's how I'm loud, I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect you. We want some help. We just want some help. We can't do that. We don't mind going over there and helping and
I'd like to
cutting.
say something.
Okay, Rick, then, go ahead.
I think the solicitor's idea is spot on. I think you should form a group of people, whoever wants to be involved, and get a new board for the cemetery and take control of the cemetery. I think it's the only way it can be done.
Well, one thing.
It's
is-
the only way it can be done.
Where's the board members?
No, Chris, I have a
Who are
question.
they?
No, Chris, he is willing to help us.
Yeah, wait, who were the board members, and if you can't get the board members, why don't
I don't know
somebody
how
form a new board?
Excuse me, can I speak for a minute? I don't know how a new board could be started, but maybe our solicitor could give us a couple hints on how we could do that in maybe an email to one of us, Mr. Solicitor. You could email me and I could pass that on to whomever. But I think we should at least start to try and do that anyway.
And there's a lot of people involved in this. What we need is a diverse group of people. You know, the funeral directors, because the borough's not able to dig a grave.
They're still digging. They're
I
still
know, the
burying
funeral directors, they
people.
are their own. You know, we need church groups, you know, maybe a church. Some of the churches around here, some volunteer groups like yourself. Maybe the Munhall manager can facilitate it and some members of the council here.
Don't y'all belong to a
We need
church
to-
or a synagogue or something?
Don't
How
you
many
belong
of
to
you have
Munhall?
gone back to your churches or synagogues, places of worship, Boy Scout, Girl Scout? How many of you have said, we need help at the Homestead Cemetery, come on out? Just raise your hand, how many of you done that? Nobody.
I asked the group.
Okay.
But Giant Eagle, my mother works at Giant Eagle, and people from Giant Eagle have come up and helped when they found out this was going on. And they don't even live in Munhall or Homestead. They don't live in this area at all, but they participated.
Like I
What,
said,
what
will-
can we hope, what
we
can
will
we
try to
hope
develop a
to?
strategy, maybe with your help and advice.
What can we hope to get from the $10,000? Can we get some equipment? Can we get some gas, some weed whackers, lawn mowers? What can we hope to get?
That's what's needed.
It was established for that purpose.
Who would we give that money to?
No, for just
Don't even give me the money.
Give it to an
Don't even
organization.
give me the money. Go to Lowe's and buy some
And
equipment.
store
I
it
think
here.
if you
and
form
let
the
them
board,
Go to
we
Lowe's
could
and buy some
award the money
equipment.
to you and have you administer it.
Sir,
If you formed a board, as Mr. Ivashevik suggested, then having access to these monies would seem to me to make sense. Having access to it and administering it the way you think is best.
Mr. Borough Solicitor, can you help us with that?
Help you what?
To form a board?
Start the board?
Yes.
You wanna become the Homestead
I don't know.
Association?
We don't know anything about that. You're
no one else is gonna
the
do it.
attorney, sir. We don't have a clue. We don't have a clue what that involves.
But if you could tell us
could
now.
you at least, could you explain it to us? Not now. Could you at least tell us what does that involve? What would that mean? Because we don't have a clue.
Listen, this is wonderful. So you're saying that you're willing to become board members?
No, I'm saying I'm willing to sit down with you and have you explain to us what all that involves. That's like you asking me to buy a car and I haven't seen the car. Okay?
It's in the cemetery.
Okay, but I don't know what is involved in being on a board. I don't know what's involved in that. So it's a simple yes or no. Would you be willing to sit down with us and explain what does that mean? What would have to be done? What would our responsibility? You could do it just, what's your first name, sir?
Greg.
Could you sit
Greg,
down?
it could be Greg and Sandy and whatever. We ain't even gotta act like you with Munhall. Give us an hour or two of your time. Just Greg, who lives wherever, is gonna sit down and talk with us.
Well,
I will talk to you.
You will?
Sure.
Okay, I'll call and set up an appointment.
Call my office.
I thank you so much. Thank you all so much for listening.
Well, it seems like, you know, there's a lot of complex issues. There's a very complex issue. I want to thank these people for going out there last year, first of all. I'll give you that compliment. But everything I say, it isn't peaches and cream. First of all, it went to a bankruptcy judge on the possession of the property of the cemetery. The bankruptcy judge delegated it to a gentleman that gave us a ruling, and the solicitor passed it down to where I'm very, really disappointed that the letter that the solicitor wrote to us is that basically the cemetery is abandoned, and it is right where it was years ago when this started last year. So therefore, it's an abandoned cemetery. Nobody owns it. Unfortunately, they didn't help matter at all with their judgment by saying at least, you know, to advise us to do certain things. Now, you gotta realize that this cemetery was started in the 1880s by the Homestead Market Group that made it the Homestead Cemetery Company. The rules were written, they went on and on and on, and as the years went by, you have to realize the ball game wasn't played the same, especially in the later years, because this cemetery is private. Therefore, all these cemeteries that you see out there that are self-sufficient, or most of them are by churches. So they have not only the expertise in doing it, they have the money that they can go ahead and maintain their cemeteries. They are owned by the churches. Homestead's cemetery is owned by nobody. The board of directors washed their hands, walked away, because over the years, they were getting less and less funerals, and as a result, they had less and less money to invest in buying the equipment, the gas, maintaining the cemetery, which they did, and it cost them, and I can tell you, what it cost them, almost $100,000 a year to maintain the equipment, buy the gasoline, do the cemetery winter, not paving, but snow removal, so on and so forth. The superintendent made about 30 grand a year. The rest of the money almost, I guess, would get almost $90,000 to $100,000.
Hey, Ray.
That's what's needed there. Please, please. I have
You're talking and we know all about that. I want to ask one question.
You do?
I want to ask one question. I want to ask one question. The tower over there, who gets the money for that?
That's being investigated, Ray.
I give all that information to Mr. Lloyd.
I'm getting to that.
With all that information was given to Mr. Lloyd.
Pat, let him talk. Let him
He's
finish.
talking out his
Let
ass.
him finish. Let him
I'm
finish.
getting to that. I have a good habit of that. So furthermore, there's a lot of things the public does not know. And I don't want to go on and on about this thing because no answer is, you know, there's no answer there. There are actually, well, there's a lot of things. Let me just put it that way. There are things, I have a gentleman here that came up. I talked to a gentleman in Texas today, part of the Hayes family, which you have that map right behind you. He's willing to help support a portion of the cemetery, but he won't support $100,000 or anything like that. But again, too, the Hayes estate on the hill is all part of this connection when it comes to money. we have an attorney here from the Hayes people. I don't want to divest or diversify any more talk, but Angelo Fontana, counsel to Abraham Hayes Foundation. You'd say a couple words, and I'd like to get more.
Angelo's going to be speaking. He's on the. Well, he's not on the agenda, but Willie Hayes is on the agenda. I don't think Willie's here.
He's not here.
Angelo can speak for him, though.
Well, in you know, in lieu of some of my talk, I'd like to recognize him.
Hey, I see some new council members, just since the last time I was here, so I'll just reintroduce myself. My name is Angelo Quaranta. I'm an attorney, and I represent the Abraham Hayes Foundation, and I was told to read this into the record. I'll probably paraphrase a little bit, but we're holding our second annual Memorial Day celebration at the Hayes Mansion on Saturday, May 28th, from noon to 2 p.m. We're seeking the support of council to create some community awareness of the event through the local media, your own website, and your own word of mouth. And there's going to be food, refreshments, entertainment, and tours of the mansion. So a lot of the tours ended up last year being self-guiding. Members of the foundation will speak about the history of the Hayes Mansion, its current status, which I can address better than anyone, and we invite Mayor Bodnar and the council members to speak in support of our cause that day. And we hope to have the local Boy Scout Troop Number 4 present colors to the event. And we look forward to receiving any input from you that will assist us in having a memorable day. So, and on a personal note, last year I think it was well done. I had a good time, and it was a good turnout too. So.
What was the time? Noon till when?
2.
Noon to 2.
Exactly what, on Memorial Day?
Saturday the 28th.
Saturday.
I attended last year. It was a nice event. It was a good start, and I know they're looking to do this as a yearly event now and build upon it and make it bigger and better, and make just to bring out the awareness of the foundation, because it needs a lot of help also to get that mansion back into where it needs to be again. Jewel of the One Valley here in Munhall.
We've made some progress legally. I can't really get into any specifics in open session, but I can say that we do have a deed to the property, and things are just moving right along in that regard. So we've come a long way since the first time I was here. Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I think it was 3 years ago, on the night that they voted to demolish it, that we hopefully turned that around and are well on our way to restoring the Hayes Mansion. So, do you have any questions?
Let me just finish up, Ralph.
Sure.
There's a lot of things in our solicitor has written as far as the cell tower goes on the cemetery property. He's trying to confirm who the owner of the property is so that we can receive that money properly rather than, for wherever it is going now. We're trying to find out. And I thank Greg for the letter, and I appreciate it. Also, there's a lot of other things that enter in those. This file right here, it gets so complex when it comes to the cemetery. And there's things known that, well, let me just say that there's things like the laws relating to veterans. I asked Greg to research, and people don't know it, and I didn't know it either until it says that the commissioners of the county shall at all times see that graves and tombstones of all deceased service persons who are buried in the county receive proper and fitting care, and they employ all necessary assistance in the provisions of this section. The expense of the care of such graves and tombstones These are veterans now. To be borne by the county in which the site of their graves may be located. It's basically, that's a law that I'm sure I haven't written to CEO Fitzgerald about it yet, Greg, but I intend to follow up on it. But this is probably a law that maybe the county's not aware of. And, you know, this is to assure proper burial for veterans. And we have 40 veterans around the circle at the Charles Griffin GAR post where the monument is. We have 40 Civil War veterans up there. And this is, to me, any of that, plus anybody else that was a veteran and all that, has the right to have this taken care of. But at the same time, we're going to have to contact our commissioner and let him come up with, you know, an answer on that. And as far as the cell tower goes, as I told you, there's been an inquiry sent out regarding the cell tower as to, we're looking for an answer on who will own it. Now maybe, and I'm no attorney, Greg is, but maybe they'll tell us go fly a kite. I don't know.
And we can close down that cell tower, that's what I
The
said.
thing is that this is a new problem to all of us. There's nowhere that I think Greg can look at or this council can look at, other than old laws to say, I mean, this is very unique, this cemetery that was abandoned. This doesn't happen very often, I mean, or very often, or where, I don't know. So this is a new problem to all of us, and we're working on it, believe me.
And
We are working on it.
we employed the services of our state legislators, our senators, and had meetings with them in order to resolve this problem and to find out what we could do about it. And the answer from them was mostly that it's happening all over the state of Pennsylvania, probably all over the country. Not only that, but the state does not, you know, get involved with it. So here we are. The judge says, and I have the order here, it's an abandoned cemetery, and it's a final decree of this judge. Now, I'm anxious to, you know, maybe find other avenues. At the same time, Memorial Day is going to do what we got to do. Memorial Day. I'll stop with that. And under my report, I'll talk about it.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all I have.
Okay. Angela, do you have anything else?
I know, that was it, just,
Angela, I just have one question. When was this Hayes Mansion built? I'm out of curiosity. A year?
Before the Civil War. Well, even the architect doesn't have the year, it was built, I just estimated, 1800s.
Wasn't it part of the Underground Railroad? That's what I heard that. It was part of the, you know, moving slaves from the south who wanted to relocate to the north. That's what I heard.
We were looking into that. Part of our expense was to hire a company with ground penetrating radar to go into the mansion and look for the tunnel that was.
It'd be fascinating.
There's some stuff
They
in
used
Graceland
to-
back.
They used to smuggle the, part of the railroad was the, a tunnel going down the hill.
That's what I heard about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Late 1800s. Anything else?
Thank you, Angela.
Joe McKay's a landscaper.
Yeah, Joe's been doing a lot of
Okay,
quite a
and
bit of work for us.
that's another avenue that I was hoping Joe would be here, that they were suggested by the, Geibel, Jim Geibel, and family, father, John, and that he might be able to get interested in the project, and he's a landscaper who can help us out.
Well, we can reach out to Jim and see if Jim can have Joe call here or if he's interested in helping out.
I'll be talking to Jim.
Yeah, tell Jim to call, the borough manager.
I think that's it. When I, no, I think that's it.
Thank you. Okay, it's Joe Chapman.
David Lewis right here, and I are representing Big Road group, we came, is this working?
It's
No.
not, none of them work.
I can hear you fine,
Can
Cheryl.
you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, having breathing problems. We received a grant from the county, a CITF grant for $75,000. Part of it was to upgrade the lights on 8th Avenue and all three boroughs. It's 136 poles. Our original grant, and we have, everybody here on council should have this letter. You should have it. Okay. So, when we applied for the funding, we applied for 100,000. They cut it back to 75,000. So we don't have enough money to do all of the poles. So we're requesting that we go to the tip. And we only need 15,000, which is a small amount. Now, we are going to be able to get started on the project. As I'm sure you know, CITF grants are reimbursement grants. You have to spend the money up front. You need to know that when you apply. So we just don't have $75,000 in our back pockets. So we did go to our local bank at the waterfront, and they have given us a loan for $14,000. So we're able to start the project as soon as the contractors get their paperwork completed. We're going to start in West Homestead. We can do 40 poles for that amount. 39 in West Homestead. To me, it just seemed like the intelligent thing to do is just get one phase done, and then we're going to roll it over the loan, and then keep on going down, okay? That was logical. So we're saying to you, please call a TIF meeting and have your TIF representatives vote for us to have the last $15,000. Otherwise, we won't have any lights in Munhall because they cut our funding. It's that simple.
How many polls will be done in Munhall if we get, you know, the.
I don't know how many poles you have. Well, none, if we don't get the thing.
Right, none if we get that.
That's, and we don't want to start a project and then, you know, have it over $15,000. So we know what the TIF monies are used for. I know what they're used for, and you know, 15 years, $1.5 million, 15,000 is only 1%, and I think that's a small request. So for a permanent improvement. Plus, we're also getting garbage cans. We wrote a grant for a dozen, so they should be coming in as soon as I get the corrected invoice. I have an invoice from the company, they charge tax. I said, we'll remove it. It's taken them 10 days to remove one line, but the garbage cans will be coming. I'll let you know when they're coming. They're the same ones that are in the oven now. So, any questions?
Where are they gonna be placed?
Wherever you want to put them.
The garbage cans?
Wherever you want to put them.
How many total lights are there?
136. 39 are in West Homestead. That I know. And then the other two rows are, I don't know, somebody counted them, I think. But there are 136 total poles. And we had the funding to do 40. So.
And how many garbage cans are you getting?
We ordered, when we wrote the grant, a dozen.
Well,
Yeah, so we'll each row get 40. And they're the same ones we have down there, the 100 and the heavy duty one. Can I say something funny?
they're expensive.
They are.
Yes, they are.
And the best bid we got was $379 per. They are expensive. But still coming in, like I said, as soon as I get the corrected invoice from the company, they'll be coming.
And they're bought to be put on the avenue?
Yes.
So Bob will be picking them up and cleaning them up on the avenue then?
Yes.
Do you have any place where you'd like 4 foot for us? Okay.
Yeah, so when they come in, what we're gonna do, this is our plan, the county actually wants to come out and take pictures of the cans. Don't ask me why, but when they come, they're gonna come out and take pictures. West Homestead said you can have them deposit in there, we'll let you know, and you can take your candles. So, that's our plan. West Homestead is so happy that we're gonna start there, that their fire chief actually said, well, we'll help you buy some poles, which I was just, so they're gonna, actually help us buy poles, they're $350 each. When I say poles, you know, I mean the lights and the globes. You know, we're upgrade from the sodium to the LED. About $350 per pole. So they're gonna actually help us buy them from the business, you know, go to the business, so they said they would do that, okay?
Yes.
So
You getting any help from Duquesne Light?
no, because Duquesne Light doesn't, service these poles on the avenue. Duquesne Light doesn't service them. I know like in Homestead, Sergeant Electric does. I don't know who does yours. In West Homestead, Sergeant Electric services ours. I don't know who services yours.
Just call me electric.
Hmm?
Just call me electric.
Okay, so Duquesne Light, no help at all. Okay.
Cheryl, thought I heard you say that you would like to have the TIF committee meet over this issue.
Yes.
Can you explain that? Who's in charge of the TIF committee from Homestead and West Homestead? Who are their folks?
The TIF committee is, I guess, you know, I don't know if you know, there are 2 members from each council who are on the TIF committee. And if they have a request presented to them, then they meet once a month. They meet the 4th Monday of each month. That would be the 28th of this month. They meet in West Homestead. I don't know the time, but any request that's put in front of them, they meet. So I'm asking you to make sure that your members go to a meeting. The staff goes, the president, his other representative, I forget his name. In Homestead, it's Lloyd Cunningham and Reverend Turner, those are the 2 members. In your borough, it's
Me.
you and, well, who's the other TIF? And you, okay. So,
I think I'm the TIF member, I'm not sure, but.
You're not
Double check with that.
so please convene that meeting on March
Who,
28th.
it's gonna be called by West Homestead, they're calling it?
Well, if you insist that they do that, because really, this is a request. We're entitled to that money, and we want to finish the project. So, yeah, get in touch with Mr. Stasko
Get
and
stuff
say,
to them tomorrow to see
yeah,
if
and
he's.
vote yes to do that for us, because it's a permanent improvement for our
March 28th, that's a Monday, right?
Right, yeah, they meet the 4th Monday of each month when a request is presented to them.
If there's no request, they don't meet.
Correct.
Can I ask you, Cheryl, did you approach West Homestead to call the meeting on behalf of this same issue, or Homestead?
Oh, yes.
And?
Well, interesting. We gave the same letter to West, as you see, West Homestead, and they were over the moon, because I says, we have enough money to do for them. So, they said, oh, yes, we have our vote. I says, you can't give me the vote now, you have to call it to me. But they were supportive, okay, because they're happy, you know, they were saying, oh, we can ignore it. Well, we're not ignoring you, okay. So then, I went to Homestead Council meeting, and where I've been living for years, okay, and they were a little, the president of council said, well, since we only got the request tonight, we didn't have time to caucus on it, so we're not gonna vote. I said, well, you know what? If you turn me down, Homestead doesn't get any lights. It's really that simple. The funding was I understand. So West Homestead said, yes, we support you, Homestead, okay. So one of the members called me that night and said, we're gonna talk. I said, well, okay, it's a simple request. And so now we're here. And it's a simple request. Any other questions?
I'd just like to have full representation from Munhall at these TIF meetings. I've never been invited.
Well, they're public meetings.
Well, I don't know when they are.
Neither things need to change. That shouldn't be happening. Your elected officials, that should not be happening. Now, I understand that sometimes they have meetings over the phone. That should not be happening. They need to be public meetings because it's public
When do
money.
they do them in the evenings?
And see, I don't even know that because I haven't been to one, but I know they meet the fourth Monday of every month in West Homestead. When there's an
Get in touch
issue.
with Bill Scott, go and find out when the meeting is. I mean, I have trouble making it if it's in the day because I'm not down during the day, I'm in Pittsburgh.
I believe they're in the evening, just like,
Good.
meetings here.
Okay.
But you need to make sure that it occurs and that you're involved, because you're part of the process. And, the money that's expended, you need to know where it's going and what it's, you're part of, it's your money as well as ours, you need to ask these questions. So if you wish, please.
We'll follow up on it.
Thank
We'll follow up on West Homestead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker, Linda McKinney, Dixon Street, Boone Way.
I know, or have come to understand that money came our way, or Munhall's way, to repair roads. And I was hoping that we could follow through on something that I think half of the council is here, or near half of the council, congratulations, being voted on is milling Dixon Street, not asking for it to be directly paved. Perhaps, it'll show you how many layers of asphalt there are. There's approximately 4 layers to where it reduced and removed curb reveal. I'm not sure of the proper terminology, I apologize. It's near flush on many of the 138 feet from the front to the back of our property. There's very, very, very little curb on Dixon's side. And water jumps the road to the sidewalks. And I'd like to get that fixed or removed. Excuse me. By removing asphalt, I believe it was Greg Scott, who's the borough engineer. Almost 9 years ago, it came forth to this council chambers, and even in his notes, stated in a recommendation to Borough Council to mill Dixon Street and or at least a couple feet gutter or create a gutter along my property, our property, to give us back our curb. And here today to ask you to follow through on the recommendation and what was passed, voted and passed unanimously by the members of the council at that time. As I said, there's a few of you here from back, in September of '07, that recommendation was put forth from the borough engineer and passed. And we're still waiting for that to happen. I don't know if there was a money issue or what type of issue, but as I said, I know money was granted because of 7th, 8th, and 9th Avenue, if memory serves, the qualification for the TIF fund, and can't think of a better way, a place for it to be spent, or partially spent. The other thing is, speaking of Boone Alley, you want to take one and pass it down? In the large hole on Boone Alley that's by the telephone pole, there's actually a partial dresser that you put your clothes in this drawer, in this hole that's partially covering it, but that's how deep the hole goes. And you see, I believe it was a worker from Caruso from several years ago sticking that pole down that tiny little hole away from the manhole. I'm sorry, and would that be the proper term, the manhole? The pole away from it. It's hollow underneath. He was moving that pole around. Unfortunately, it's not a video. But again, I would like to have, being Natalie, somewhat prepared when a truck or the UPS truck, which isn't super huge and super heavy, passes behind us, I can feel it rattle in the back of my building and part of the front, because it's hollow underneath, and I would like, again, as I said, to have the borough have these things fixed. Now, that wasn't something that was brought up from Mr. Scott several years ago, and it also wasn't voted on, but I'm asking you today to do something about this as well. I know it has been brought to council's attention previously from the neighbor behind me, Mr. Mike Waldridge. And I think that's been a few years. So, but I'm just asking for some considerations, that money be placed where it needs to be, which is North Munhall, or as some people dub it, as Lower Munhall. But you qualified for that money because of us down there. So if you could please just put some of those funding back into the area that desperately needs it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next one on the agenda is Ray Carter.
Hey, I was gonna bring it up first.
Know people in high places, and I ended up with the sales agreement of the storage. And Gregory Evanchik, lawyer firm, wrote all of this up. And I would like to know, before I get into the real financial part of everything, I'd like to know just how much money was transferred from the borough of Munhall to the buyer back to the seller, and so on and so forth. And on September 19th, the seller transferred the sum of money.
You're talking about the sewer
How
authority?
much money?
You're talking about the sewer authority?
How
Not
much
the
money?
sewer, you're talking about the borough to the sewer authority?
The sewer sanitary, how much money was transferred from this borough to Mr. Terry, and where did the money go after?
The
Joe,
sanitary.
you don't know nothing about this. I've been
Authority
fighting this
paid
for a
the
long
borough.
time, there's $700-some thousand. Now, if you wanna make a smart comment, you do it. Now, tell me how much was Mr. Bassett, tell me how much exact amount of money. Now,
Mr. Carnes, that was many years ago.
There's $85,000, there's $19,000 up on 19th Avenue. I wanna know where this money's at.
That was back in
As a
2008.
I don't care if it
That was
was
back
10
in
years ago, 50
2008.
years ago, I wanna know where the money's at.
Ray, you asked a question, let him answer.
That was back in
Well, and I wanna ask you a
2008.
question too. Go
The
ahead.
authority gave us approximately, from memory, $600,000.
It's more than that. I guess I gotta go down and see Rita, don't
I guess, whoever Rita is.
I? Rita King,
I don't think she's around anymore.
yes, she is, don't
No,
worry.
she's not around anymore.
Yeah, she's.
I'm not gonna argue with you, but.
I'm not arguing with you either, she's still the Attorney General.
Rita King's not the Attorney General.
Okay, you think this is all a joke? I put a new guard up on my place, I can't put security in there, because if the cops don't like you, their place can get robbed, and they don't have to show up.
Well,
Now, I wanna know where that
talking
money, that company sends to this borough, it's not in your place.
I have
It's not in
no, I have no idea what company you're talking about.
The security company. The security company pays this borough money for the police to go and check out when an alarm goes off. Am I right or wrong?
You're wrong.
So you don't get no money from you mean you do this on your own, just the places get robbed, they don't pay you nothing?
Oh, right, this is.
I never heard of it. Everything to me is money in this world. Now, when I did have the security system at my house a long time ago, I know the people that were running out of my door, the alarms were going off, the cops, I'm still waiting for them to show up. They never showed up. I can't get it in, like I told the guy, I said, why get it? Because my old place ain't gonna come up anyway.
We answer every call we're given.
You didn't answer my call, I'm still waiting. Them alarms are going off of my house is shaking, that's how much it's going off. Cops never showed up.
What number did you call?
This was before you even had everything, I called the number that you had over there before all this bullshit. Now, you can't even get a cop, I've been trying to call the cops now for 2 months, I can't get nobody. There's nobody to answer the phone.
I'm not sure, listen.
You got 28 people in your department, you don't have one guy to answer the phone.
We have 21 people in the department.
I don't care how many people, I know there's over 20, you can't answer the phone. Don't even know where to call. It's a disgrace living in
We
this
use
town.
911 now, we use 911.
No.
Yeah, call
You call
911.
911? When 911 feels like calling Munhall Police, and Munhall Police decides whether or not they're gonna call you up, you could be dead, standing on a corner. Or
You know
around
what,
my
I
house
respectfully
being
disagree with
lost.
you.
Come
I
on,
think
Bob, you
Munhall
know
Police-
better than
I
that.
think Munhall Police response time is great, and I think they do a great job.
Hey, I don't know what you think, I'm telling you what it
I'm
is.
backing my police, you can say what you want, but I'm backing my police 100%.
You back your police 1,000%. You back them up every inch, I'm just telling you exactly what's up. Brendan, you had this problem before. How long does it take you to get a call when you try to call up and you were checking it out? And then you start screaming, we need somebody to answer the phone. What do you think, I was just in here yesterday?
Right, I'm backing my police 100%.
I don't care, hey, I'm glad you're
Our police
backing
are
your
great.
police, I'm backing my police too to a certain point, I wanna know what's happening. I wanna know, Mr. Gatto, how much money was there? I wanna know where all the money went every other place. And I'm tired of coming up here, our town looks like shit, if I have to say it.
I think you're gonna have to call Rita.
I think I'm gonna have to go see Rita,
Okay.
all right?
Okay, thank you.
Now, so I'm not done yet.
Well,
Now, there's all kinds of junk cars running
no, we're
around
talking
in
about
Texas.
finances. You're running for finances.
I got all kind of shit. He just got in tell me, hey Ray, you got 3 minutes to talk. Wait on next one to finish it. It's a disgrace living in this town, and these borough people are disgraced too. I went ahead and I did it on my own to find out about that cemetery with DAR. I did all of that myself. I told Mr. Lloyd where to go to get. I give the numbers. I give Mr. Lloyd numbers for that piece of tire that you have over there. Who's getting the money for that? I went out of my way to
I
find out
think we
all.
told you it's being investigated.
Yeah, you're being, Mr. Lloyd had all that information.
Well, tell me.
All of a sudden you don't know
Well, if you
nothing.
gave it to him,
Why
give it
don't
to
you
me.
just quit?
Can you give me that? No, why don't you just sit down?
Yeah, why don't you just, why don't you, I'm going to see Rita.
Okay, go ahead.
Mike, did you ever find out about that store when that guy broke into the store? No, you did. There's another one. The guy breaks in the store, you tell me if I break in the store, it's $2,600. Neighbor breaks in the store, doesn't cost nothing because he's the president of cops.
I have no knowledge of that.
No, you don't know
do
nothing.
what you need to do.
You're just the president.
Okay, I'm just the president, right? Thank
Right, you ought to quit your job too. It's a
Okay.
disgrace.
I'll switch seats with you.
Hey, come on my place, I'll tell you all about this town. I had people call the manager up for that DAR to clean that statue up here in the cemetery. Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
That's all you do. That guy's a piece of shit.
Okay, we're gonna try to move on here. Public comments on agenda items. And agenda items only. Hi, yes, sir. Oh, no.
No offense, Rick. I'm questioning item number 3. And in my way of thinking, I think the person to be appointed should be the finance committee chairperson. The finance committee, not just the council. And that's my opinion, that's my comment.
That was actually brought up, if I can answer for you, Joe, you want to answer? Because.
The conflict of interest
Conflict
of
of
my
interest with the
professional
jobs.
career that I am not allowed to, because I handle investment and funding, my company will not allow me to.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, that was brought up, that was talked about. We actually talked about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Donna?
I'd like to thank Rich for
his years of dedication to the fire department. My first question is, since we had such a long executive session, are there gonna be any new items added to the agenda this evening?
No. None planned.
Okay. Just asking because it was long.
It was.
And you did say it was a personnel matter and so forth.
And contract.
And contracts, but we just thought maybe you were gonna add something in to the agenda since, because you could have went back into the executive session after the meeting like you've done in previous meetings.
No plan for that tonight.
Okay.
That means we gotta stay here longer.
Yeah. You made us wait. You made us wait an extra half hour, correct? But you love staying here, Rich. Item number 6. The employee will contribute 2%, if I'm reading it right, and the employer contribution, is it up to 10% or it will be 10%?
10%.
10%, well, is the borough required to do at least 5%?
No, it was negotiated. These new employees, as part of the negotiation process, they do not have a pension plan, a defined benefit plan. Instead, they have a defined contribution, so it's like an IRA. That relieves the borough of the burden of market fluctuations and having to pay the MMO. You hear us talking about these big MMO obligations every year. That relieves us of that burden. So in exchange for that negotiation, the borough agreed to put in this fixed amount into their, essentially it's like an IRA, retirement fund for these new employees.
Okay, is that for non-contract employees also?
This is for the union Teamsters. I'm not sure.
For the union, okay, can they go more than 2% if they want?
Yes.
Yes, they can put it
They
in,
can.
2's their minimum.
So they have to put in 2%?
They must.
Right.
Okay. Okay, motion 7 and 8. Will either of these, positions, if they're both hired tonight, receive any benefits at all?
No.
Okay, because some part-time employers do give vacation and so forth. I know it was talked about in the meeting, hiring 1, how did we become about hiring 2?
When we went through the interviewing process and further defining our needs, we were impressed with both of those people. And we kind of devised that since we're finishing the first quarter, we did not spend money the first quarter, so we think we could bring on 2 people totaling 35 hours and still stay within budget by the end of the year.
So it is in the budget then, so which I don't know.
But the administrative assistant, 20,000 is not 2 people, but we could hire 2 people because it's within that budget range.
Will they both be in the office at the same time?
We don't know yet. If they are, it'll be very rarely.
Very rarely? Okay, do they both live in the borough, or will they have to move into the borough?
They both are residents of Munhall.
Okay, because I do know before in job description, and I know they had changed it for the manager at one point, or if you were an employee, you did have to live into the borough. Because I remember there was somebody being considered being hired, even though she had a 15120 zip code, she was not hired because she had lived over in Gates, because she was in the Pittsburgh section.
These 2 in Munhall Borough.
Okay, does the present secretary have to move into the borough, or is she exempt? Does her job description still reveal that she has to live in the borough? And I have nothing against you as a position. I'm just bringing this up because years ago, you had somebody that they were gonna hire, they wanted to hire this person, and they had a 15120 zip code, but they couldn't hire them because they lived in the city.
These administrative people are not union people. Each council can hire under whatever restrictions or requirements they want. There's no set rules. So if council wants a resident or not, it's purely up to them.
Okay, but that wasn't the way before, am I correct? I believe I have a former councilman that's back on. Do you remember that at all?
I know that was practiced. I don't know if it was ever written
Yeah, I
anywhere.
believe it was written in a job description.
And maybe that, but not in the, the borough
I thought it was just in the manager's description, but then we took that out.
The secretary position had, you only took it out of the manager. Or was it, is it the manager, the business manager? I know we've had so many conflicts of different titles.
It wasn't the manager's position at one time, but that was taken out.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking. So there was somebody here earlier that had to leave and wanted me to clarify that part of it, so I figure I would at least do the benefit of the doubt since they couldn't stay for the full meeting, I'd ask that. So, and I, see under motion 9 for recreation, it's only $16 this. I'm assuming we're caught up on everything, because I remember previous months, like 1 January, we had like $1,200 for recreation for the fee.
Books tell us we spend $16 on recreation, which I think is pretty good.
I think that's very well for the office.
Definitely under budget, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Don. Move to approve January 20th, 2016 minutes of council.
We don't have them prepared.
Okay, skip that. Okay, reports, feel free to, be very brief if you can. We're all. Finance committee?
No change from that.
No change. Economic development, Mike?
I just have one item to speak about. I was unable to make the meeting. I ran late and I missed the meeting. But I had Dave Cannon prepare a statement for us of properties that are delinquent and properties that are abandoned. We have, what, 44 properties, Dave, that with structures on them that are abandoned. 44, guys. We have 39 vacant lots, and I have a list of them here for you. And you can get that off of Bob Callen.
Everybody has it, it was sent out.
It was sent out to everyone? Oh, great. So you guys have read it, seen all that, so just making an announcement for the public then. But also, this goes back to Harrison Street. If this property sat vacant and untaxed money come in for over 10 years or 8 to 10 years, that's a problem. And that's a problem that the borough of Munhall, this is all caused by Munhall Borough's lack of responsibility to our property to let it get this bad. We need to be more active. We need to get more active with this. So that's why I wanted this list started. And I'm going to meet with our tax collector of delinquent taxes and try to get some lists together and try to start getting some of these property sheriff sales. And I think we need to start talking about doing it a little bit differently. Instead of waiting 8 to 10 years, maybe we do it 3 years. When something gets on the list, let's get it done and get these properties turned around, because I mean 10 years, guys, that's what we got to live next door. This is a good one, actually. We have a whole list. We have a whole list of properties that we went through that we just agreed to knock down, and there was 8 of them, I think, earlier. So we need to be a little more proactive, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
If you don't own the property, I don't know if we can.
If it's tax delinquent over 2 to 3 years, we can take it right to sheriff's sale and get it sold. Someone else can take it.
Mr. Brennan.
We don't have any questions from the floor on this.
Wait a minute.
This is, I have no questions.
No, we just pay everything, we have no questions, we're not allowed to talk. Come back here next month.
You're not a councilman.
Are them houses good enough to be fixed up?
Rick, you don't have to answer that.
You don't have to answer that question. Don't worry about
Ray,
it,
I'm
Mr.
gonna ask
Paul.
you,
We're gonna find out,
I'm gonna
Mr.
ask
Paul.
you to follow
I'm
our
going
rules.
deep into this shit.
Ray, I'm gonna ask you to follow by our rules, or you can't stay at the meeting.
Okay, I
Follow
don't
our
care.
rules or don't
Somebody's
stay.
up there, I just want to know answers.
Ray, you're not a councilman. You don't have the floor right
Oh,
now.
you mean I gotta be a councilman to get an answer because I live in a borough, I pay taxes? Now you're telling
Hey,
me.
are you gonna hold up
Now
the meeting?
you're telling
Ray,
me.
you can be quiet, or you can hold up the
No,
meeting.
I'm not holding up the borough meeting.
Chief,
I
can you
just
remove
want
him, please?
answers, that's all.
Chief, please remove him.
Hey, get rid of me.
Let's go, Mr.
Now you gotta help me out.
I'll help you out.
But it's tough.
I have to get off the meeting. I'm sorry.
Thank you,
but,
Mr. Campbell.
yeah.
See that? You didn't help too good. Thank you, gentlemen. What I think he is, this is goddamn disgrace living in
Watch your
Munhall.
language, okay? There's
I could care less.
people where you should watch your language, okay?
Yeah, I know.
You don't need to talk
You,
like
you,
you've been
you
talking.
can't tell me where the money's
Let's go.
going to
Let's
for
go.
what's
We're
my
going.
language.
Thank you, goodbye.
Goodbye. We'll find out about this shit.
Watch your language.
I'll see you, young people.
Let's go.
Jason, you gotta follow that.
Okay, Public Works is next. Okay, Public Safety.
All right, hold on.
I'm sorry.
I'll make this brief because I know we're 3 hours into this, but you guys all got my email about the paving. And I want to discuss this tonight because in talking to Bob, some of the articles he sent me and just his knowledge of how the process works, this is probably something we should have done last fall. They've got these ducks lined up. We're way behind. The earliest we could probably get anything done now is probably late July if we took action tonight. So I really want to.
We have the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have last fall.
No, right, which is why we couldn't have taken any action with it last fall, but now that we have that money, so we have 458,000. So you all got this list of like basically the top 10 streets that are really bad. And we did find out in our workshop last week that they are in order, so West Schwab being at the top of the list was deemed like the worst, and Highway Street the second worst, so forth. So, again, in talking to Bob, I found out these costs on here, these are just preliminary costs. We'd have to, get some really more finite figures through Lindsay and Bob's experience. Any figures that are on here, then you got to tack on another 15% for costs for engineering, spec development, especially the actual work and so forth. So what I did is I went through this list, and if we were going down the list, I removed Ravine Street just for now. I know it's bad, I know it's needed, and it's certainly something that's going to stay on the list, but just to do that one street would exhaust our entire budget this time, and I think we'd be better served to try to pick some streets around the borough, get multiple streets, plus get more attention drawn to it. So if we did West Schwab, Highwood, which are over in the Garden, East 10th and East 14th, which are down in Lower Munhall, skip Dewey Street and Washington, just because with the other 4 I've combined so far, those 2 combined would take us over the top, and since they're in such close proximity to each other, I don't think it's a good idea to do one without the other, because they're a block apart. So then Hill Street would be the next one. If we did those 5, Schwab, Highwood, 10th, 14th, and Hill Street, the total, just on here, comes to 355, adding in another 15% for this additional cost would take the total of 408. And like I said, those are preliminary figures likely to go up. Lindsay, go
I
ahead.
have a suggestion. In the past, we would bid them as base bids so that the council could award all, none, and they were all individuals. So I would suggest adding a 6th street, just in case bids come in low, or one of the streets is an outlier. That way you have enough options to spend what you want to spend. So in the past, we would do A, B, C, D, E, and then pick and choose. That way you're not leaving money on the table, and at the same time, if you change your mind on a street, you have one ready to go.
And honestly, I think it's a great idea, but I think what we ought to look at too, and this is just my thought, is paving the area in front of the library. If we're gonna use that down there, is that one of the streets that's on there?
Yes.
Great, good, good.
I have one request that I will make once again, and I mentioned it last meeting. The area of Caroline between Ellsworth and Shady. It's a very short street. God only knows that it has to be the water-around capital of the world. So, once again, I'm requesting council look at that closely, because that is,
So
I don't know.
perhaps that could be a 6th street that we add to the list, is that small section. Because I agree, I know exactly what he's talking about, and there is, it's bad there.
Is that the intersection of Main? Is that?
Well, the Caroline intersection with Main, but where he's talking is way down at the end, where it starts to go up the hill again. It's between Shady and Ellsworth. Yeah.
It's terrible.
So, I mean, if anybody has any objection, I'd like to make a motion to have Chester Engineers prepare some specs and plans for the work to be done on those 6 streets, so we can get some more concise figures.
You can make a motion, Jim.
Yep.
Just
You're gonna go with those streets here? I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, the 5 I mentioned, and then the block between Shady and Ellsworth and Caroline would be the sixth one.
Now, that lady asked about doing Dixon Street.
Right.
We don't have nothing here, but she could probably, I mean,
Well, yeah, well, it certainly wouldn't hurt to include that as well, like Lindsay said. You know, we can get figures, and then when the actual figures come back, we can figure out, all right, what would get us the most closest to our budget output.
Please tell Dixon too.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do Dixon.
Right.
So each
So what-
street would be bid individually.
Individually.
Right.
And then it'll be up to council. So how this would work timing wise is if you authorize us to prepare the bid documents, and I would ask for you to authorize us to advertise as well, so that the manager can advertise, and we can schedule the opening within the borough code, and then award, I don't think we'll be able to award at the next meeting,
Depends if you have the specs ready and the
2
construction
weeks.
specs.
I can do 2 weeks.
I just wanted just to support Jason, you know, we invested some money and had an intern last summer to prepare a capital improvement plan, 5 years. In 2016, we're off by 10,000, Jason, $398,000 for 16 to do road repairs. It's a plan. Are we gonna work the plan or not? And those streets you mentioned are on there. And then those that you can't do there on the list are out third, fourth, and fifth year. Now, Ravine Street, as I understand, certainly that's needed, but I believe the sewer authority may have some plans down there to do some major work that may rip up that road, so you certainly don't want to do that first. We can also, Lindsay, as you well know, check with the water company and see if they have any plans on any of those streets, and if they do, we can siphon some money off of that.
Right, and then in that case, it's not completely reflected here, but we anticipate in potential areas of Ravine being a full replacement, reconstruction, due to there's tracks there's a lot of unknown conditions. So during the course of the sewer project, if we will be involved, we'll have more information to even design that road and kind of see what we're getting into if they're digging there. So that's the goal, kind of kill multiple birds with one stone.
I'll second the motion and make it, the earlier we get started, the better off we are. I always felt that way.
Comment on the motion? We are, comment on the motion?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because I did ask if we were putting any new items on the agenda, and I am allowed to comment, am I right, Greg?
Yeah.
Thank you. We are gonna include Dixon Street, since there was a person that just spoke about it,
To include it within the bid document.
within the bid documents. Because I thought she had said